Hello and welcome back to the Power of Manifestation. My name is Andrea Miller and I am so excited to host this session with Dr. Laura Berman called Sex, Magic, and Quantum Love, the cheat codes to feeling wanted, worshipped, and worthy. And trust me, this one is going to open your eyes, fill your heart, energize your body in ways you didn't expect and that you're going to really, really like. I can't help myself, guys. It's like so good. All right, let me introduce Dr. Laura Berman. She is a world-renowned sex, love, and relationship therapist. Dr. Berman is the author of 10 incredible books, a USA Today columnist, the host of the podcast, The Language of Love, and most recently, the best-selling author of the insanely amazing book, also called Sex Magic. Through decades of clinical work and cutting-edge research, Dr. Berman has helped millions of people transform their relationships and their sex lives. Guys, this session is about harnessing some of the most potent energies we have as women as tools for manifestation, healing, and becoming magnetic to what we truly desire. I mean, this is the real deal. Sexual energy is your sacred manifestation superpower. Dr. Berman teaches you how to activate it through breath, intention, and sacred pleasure rituals, and so much more. And before she and I get into it, quick reminder that if you don't have the Power of Manifestation handbook, you can get it real quick at powerofmanifestation.com. Honestly, you're going to want to take a ton of notes because this is so filled with takeaways. And if you don't have time for that, or you just want to write in your journal, that's fine too. But I just want to make sure you are able to get the takeaways because there are going to be so many that you're going to want to remember and internalize. Oh my gosh, welcome, Laura. It is so nice to get to talk to you again about sex magic. And because I just read Quantum Love myself, I'm so excited to be talking about that as well. I love it so much. I can't even tell you.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for being in the Power of Manifestation event. Okay, so before we get into sex magic and quantum love, I would love for you to start talking about energetic frequencies and how those map to our emotional states. You know, this is a point of passion for me because this is so key to manifestation. And this idea of the map of consciousness, to me, it impacts our sex life, it impacts our love life, and I just feel like it's so foundational. So what's the role of emotional frequency in creating our reality?
It's really everything. I mean, I like to call it the secret behind the secret, and it's really a big part of why manifestation doesn't work for a lot of people and does for others. I mean, there's lots of reasons, and I'm sure you get into it in a million. We don't have to go too far down the rabbit hole, but just to answer your question. So here's the bottom line. We and everything else around us and everything else we perceive is all part of, for lack of a better term, the same quantum soup. We're all pure atomic vibrating energy. If we were to look at ourselves through an atomic microscope, we are vibrating atoms, and we aren't solid. We seem solid, and this lamp and plant behind me and this computer in front of me look and seem separate from me. But on the quantum level, we're all part of the same energetic atomic soup. And that's important for manifestation because the whole point with the quantum field and quantum physics and what we now understand from quantum physics is that all potentials exist in every millisecond. What brings things into reality, into manifestation, into 3D experience is the energy that magnetizes the atoms into form, essentially. I'm oversimplifying, and you can geek out on the science of all of this if you read Quantum Love. So what we understand about our bodies is that we are transceivers. Our bodies are pure energy that are vibrating in an energetic frequency that is constantly shifting and changing based on our conscious and unconscious thoughts and feelings, and how likely we are to match the energetic frequencies around us. Some of us are more likely to match others than others are. So if you tend toward codependency, for instance, we're covering one right here, you tend to match everybody else's energy rather than literally and figuratively and energetically holding your own. So there was a beautiful research done in this book. It was all published in this book called Power versus Force. It's by this scientist named David Hawkins, who traveled the world, collaborated, named the discipline in social sciences and psychology and metaphysics, like every possible kinesiology. He was a kinesiologist by training. He was able, with the help of all kinds of modalities and questionnaires and kinesiology and energy studies, to create something called the map of consciousness, which basically calibrates the energetic vibration or frequency of different emotional states. So if you think about it like an old-fashioned radio, there's the station, the frequency you're on, and the volume, how intense you are holding that energy. So just think when you're really happy or really sad or just a little bit or a lot, right? So that's the volume. Now, what you see on the quantum love map is the energetic calibration on the bottom there of each emotional state our bodies tend to hold. So the lowest frequency our body can hold is shame. Okay. And then we get guilt and anxiety and fear and regret and anger. Those are all lower frequency emotions. Once you start getting, and that's what I call kind of ego frequency, that's where you are now, your energetic frequency is communicating out into the quantum field, and unintentionally, this isn't something we necessarily do on purpose, we just do it naturally. We are now magnetizing things to us. This is where manifestation starts, that match our energetic frequency. So when you are spending a lot of time in guilt and shame, you will find that a lot of experiences, circumstances, scenarios, and people come to you that cultivate more of that, right? Now, the key here is not to bypass and be like, okay, I'm full of shame and regret and guilt, but woohoo, I'm just going to say I'm happy and dance around, right? Like you have to authentically move yourself to these higher frequencies. But once you can get even to a place of curiosity, courageousness, you now start to move out of ego frequency into what I call the quantum love zone, the juicy zone. So it's not like you have to be in joy and elation and love all the time. No one can be. But if you can shift from those lower frequency states to maybe curiosity or courageousness or openness, if you can spend even 51% of your time in those frequencies, your entire life will change. And the key, and I spent a lot of time in quantum love teaching you how to do this, the key is in authentically shifting out of those lower frequency states, not just being like, no, everything is perfect, even though inside, because remember, your body is setting the frequency. You can't
fake it.
And the other thing with manifestation, and this is so ironic, is the things we want to manifest are the things we most desperately want, right? And when you are in a place of wanting, needing, you are in a place of scarcity. And when you are in a place of scarcity, you are in ego frequency, right? So this is why I always say, if you want a new love, right? Or you want your current partner to show up for you differently, it's not enough to envision it. You have to move your body into the emotional and vibrational state that it would be if you were with that ideal partner, or your partner was showing up for you exactly how you want it. How would it feel? Everything starts with how we want to feel. Getting clear on how we do feel, which I teach you how to do in quantum love, so you can see where you have to work from, but also getting clear on how you want to feel and cultivating more and more of that feeling in your life, even if it's not related to what you want to manifest. So let's say I want my partner to show up with more playfulness, right? I could imagine a scenario where we're dancing in the kitchen and being silly, and I could let my body, we can talk about how to do this, move into that energetic frequency, and that's great. But I'm also going to be looking for opportunities all over the place in my day-to-day life to be in the energy of playfulness. I'm going to walk by that playground and jump on the swing set for a second. I'm going to have a silly, sing off with one of my kids. I'm going to joke with one of my coworkers. I'm going to be more playful in my life, cultivate that feeling inside of me. And now I'm a frequency match for playfulness. And what's really cool in love, whether it's a romantic partner you're calling in, but especially if you want to change your relationship, is that our partners and our children and people really close to us are, from the quantum level, are entrained to us. So that means they're constantly we're all matching frequencies all the time. None of us would even be able to perceive each other right now if we weren't in a harmonic vibration. But in our love relationships, we really match each other. It's through the process of quantum entanglement. It's a whole physics thing. But basically, your partner, your children, the people you're spending a lot of time with and have really higher stakes relationships will match your energy very quickly. So if you are holding the energy of playfulness, your partner will start matching you there. Your children will start matching you there. Your friends will start matching you there.
Yeah, no. And I love it that you use that example. I was just watching a video yesterday. I can't remember who it was. And the guy was like, yeah, the speaker was like, guys love playful, right? And women love playful. I don't want to make it, it's like, who doesn't love playful, right? It's fun and fun, playful, joy. Those are high vibes. So I want to come back to this for just another second and just have, guys, look at this with me. I love how Laura puts on the lower frequencies, the ego frequency, to me. Right? It's like back to the scarcity. This is happening to me. I feel like a victim. I don't feel like I'm in my power. So things like grief and regret, guilt and so forth, anger, apathy, etc. It's not a high vibe. It's a low vibe state. And they have their place. Like I am not over here. And I know, Laura, you agree with me. These all have their place. So nobody is over here saying, never feel anger, never feel grief. They're very healthy to, to process. But it's like you can't get stuck in them.
Right. They're emotion, energy and motion. So we want to honor them. We want to feel them. We want to move them through us in all sorts of ways, whether, if it's anger, beating up pillows, if it's sadness, letting yourself cry. It's letting yourself move somatically, move those energies out of your field authentically and with care and with honoring the feelings, because they're real feelings. Anger is saying something doesn't serve here. That's important. Fear is saying, I'm in danger or something may be dangerous for me or my life. Like those are good emotions. But what we tend to do is stay stuck in them and then wonder why our life isn't working, right? So
like we don't want to admit it, or somehow it's so painful. And for me personally, I've gotten so much more adept at getting comfortable with these things. To your point, Laura, honoring them. And so I literally will say, kind of out of like the Internal Family Systems Handbook, I'm upset. I see you, right? So there are just these little techniques, and I don't want to get too off the track, but just to really this is so foundational. Laura, I love this so much. So I really just wanted to spend an extra few minutes, for everybody to recognize this whole range of emotions and the agency that you have. For me, when I look at this and I go, okay, that's happening to me, right? And sometimes I feel hurt or angry, and I am so much more adept in processing it. So I can set myself free. I don't let go of the emotion. It lets go of me. And then the by me kind of there in the middle. And then what I love is the through me. I mean, so when I think about the joy and the bliss and the playfulness, this idea of what we're radiating as high vibe, hot, women, that to me, it's like, and I think, Laura, you just said, as long as you're in sort of that home and higher frequency, even slightly more than 50% of the time, that is going to change the game.
Yes. And to me is like I'm at the effect of my life or my circumstances. By me is like, okay, I have agency here. I am going to move things forward.
I can be curious and so forth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then through me is I am a channel of the divine. I am in flow. That which that's the master manifesting mode. That's where the good juice is.
And that's, to me, when we get and we will get much more deeply into quantum love and to sex magic, that staying in those states and habituating our bodies to those states, it really becomes a practice. And I love your example of playfulness, to be intentional. Oh, I want my partner to be more playful. Well, I got to be more playful, right? And to find those little excuses to be more playful, so that's what you resonate, and that's what resonates back to you. Like, in so many ways, it's so freaking simple.
It is. It is. I mean, right? It's simple and it comes naturally to us, but we've forgotten it and it's been conditioned out of us. And we fall into these old patterns and our trauma patterns and our childhood patterns and our fear patterns. And so it's just a practice. It's emotional hygiene. And the playfulness thing, I just use that as an example, but it's really, one of the things I love about playfulness is that it's the only thing that can cut through the addiction to drama. The only thing that is because there's so many couples that I work with and meet who are stuck in those drama cycles, and they keep having these fights and they don't even realize that it's like an addiction. Your body gets so addicted to the adrenaline, and that's part of why you're stuck in these cycles. And the only thing more fulfilling than the hit of adrenaline you get with fighting, if you are having a lot of arguments or drama in your life or relationships, is play. That is the antidote in my experience.
Totally. And I can speak to that in my own marriage. And so when I think how so many, especially longer term couples, they get into the cycles of blame and judgment, and that is a low vibe frequency, right? So, you're just in there judging your partner, or your kid or whomever, versus saying, hey, what do I want more of? Right. And that, it's just, the great news is it starts with us.
Yes,
right? That is
everything,
the best news.
Everything starts with us. And whether you're if you're in a relationship or with your kids or with your friends or with your colleagues, it is a Jedi. It is hardcore affects everyone around you, and everyone shows up differently around you. And it's really powerful.
It's really powerful, and it's just going to get more powerful. Okay, so that's so foundational and so great. But if you don't mind, you got some great anecdotes about how you'll set yourself up for influencing the outcomes to your, to how you want them, and for the greater good, whether it's speaking to a huge audience, getting close to your hot hubby, getting your kids to go on a ski trip, even if they don't want to go, and then they go and they love it.
Whatever I want them to do.
Yeah. But these are such practical examples.
Yeah. Okay. So here's one that just came up. My 20-year-old, this is my youngest now, I'm now an empty nester, is renting a house with his friends for his birthday. And I was feeling sad that I'm not going to, this is one of the first birthdays I haven't been with him. And he doesn't really, appropriately so, he's got this hot girlfriend. He's got all these friends. He's having so much fun. He does not want to be with his mom and dad, on his birthday. I understand that, but I'm like, woo, woo, woo. So I decided I needed to be invited to this trip he's taking with his friends. It's like 2 hours away. I was like, I don't need to be there the whole time, but I want to be included. I want to be there and celebrate his birthday with him. So instead of nagging him about it or being like, wait, you're not with the birthday,
instead of going low vibe,
which, by the way, he's an excellent teacher, because he's just like, he doesn't succumb to guilt, which I guess means I did something right, but it also is a pain in the ass if I ever want to use it. But so I just envisioned, because you showed me the house where he's going. I was envisioning them all there. And then I was envisioning me and my husband showing up in the morning with breakfast and hanging out with them on the beach and bringing a cake to celebrate and being around all these fun kids and being in the energy of it, and all of them, hanging out with us, but also doing their own thing, but also hanging out with us and enjoying us. And I went there, and this is the key. I went there in my mind in first person present. Right? So as if it's happening right here, right now. And then I felt what that would feel like in my body. And I started naming that feeling. You can start with the feeling too. But in this case, I was like, all right, let me just go there and see what I feel. And when I went there, I was feeling joy. I was feeling connection. I was feeling aliveness. I was feeling playfulness. I was feeling like love, right? And I started sort of just really anchoring that sensation, that feeling of bubbling in my chest, an openness in my hips, a lightness in my belly, smile on my face. But I can really always, for me, and everyone's a little bit different. For me, I feel the strongest, whatever energy I'm holding right here, kind of in my chest area, or from my solar plexus to my throat chakra. And so I just sort of anchored that feeling and really kind of cultivated it and held it, especially when he was around. But, you know, the quantum is without distance, so it doesn't really matter. But I wanted to have extra added effect. And he just invited us to come. He just invited us like yesterday, and we said, okay, we're going to come. You know, he was
You're
like, if
let
you
me
guys
check my
want,
calendar.
you can come.
You're like,
yeah,
I
was
don't
like,
want him, I don't want him to
well,
be
I
like,
mean, we
suspicious.
I acted very blasé. As my husband says, I acted like a butterfly. You know, whenever he's near, it's like a butterfly has landed on me. I just stay real still, say very little. So yeah, that's a recent example.
Yeah, you've got that Jedi mind trick in such a big way. But let me ask a practical question. So, like, over how many days, how many times per day? Because I know everybody's thinking what I'm thinking, whether it's getting their boyfriend to do something nice or, you know, whatever they're trying to get done. Like what kind of effort are we talking about?
If it's an attitude you're looking for, it's immediate, almost immediate. So like, unless you've been like, if you've really been entrenched in drama and there's built up resentment, you know, your partner won't necessarily be doing cartwheels through the living room when you move into the energy of playfulness around them, but they will be a little lighter. They will be a little bit more tuned in. And then the more you hold that.
Examples of your relationship in your marriage with Sam, where I think there was one that you guys were having a fight and you just pulled the frickin' Jedi mind trick and just sent like loving kindness to him. And he was like, wait,
that was when I discovered quantum love. I had started to discover it through my kids. That's how I first discovered it, trying to help them. And I tell the story in the book, but the light bulb went off like, oh, holy poop, this actually could work in relationships when I was, because he's, you know, impossible to win an argument with, which is kind of one of the things I find attractive to him, but also about him, but it's also unbelievably infuriating. Because he's so smart and he's got a memory like I don't even know. And he just can. I was used to winning every argument. And by the time, and also kind of in my codependent way, gaslighting my partners. So I did something wrong, but by the end of it, they were apologizing to me. I was masterful at that. And he was having none of it. From the very beginning.
Which is why he's a perfect partner
yeah, which is why I liked him so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
I was like, whoa, like, I don't like this, but I really like this. Like, I can't manipulate this.
Yeah.
I can't manipulate him as much as I would like to sometimes. And so we were having some argument about something and he was not, you know, he was upset and he, you know, when we argue, we're not yelling and screaming but it's like, you know, a conversation, but it's not fun. And normally, what I would normally do back then is what a lot of people do, listen to respond, right? So I'd be listening to him, but simultaneously thinking, that's not what I said. I didn't do that. And so my response would be a rebuttal. I would, you know, that's not what happened. And
defensive, right?
Yeah. And I'd be trying to get to my goal, right? Whatever that was. I don't even remember, honestly. It was something stupid that we were having this argument about. But instead of falling into that pattern, since I had been playing with this so much, I decided to move myself into the energetic frequency that I wanted him to match to see what happened. So instead of doing my usual thing while he was going on his soliloquy that I would normally be dissecting to respond, I moved into the energy of like, I love this man. I'm connected to him. This is a blip on the screen of our long relationship. I am so in love with him, even though I may be pissed at him. I'm going to move into that energy of that love, that reverence, that appreciation, that open-heartedness, I call it, that open-hearted home. There's like an open-hearted home frequency state that you can put yourself into of coherence, where the electromagnetic field of your brain and your heart match each other that I teach you to do. I teach you to do it in sex magic too, but I first teach you to do in quantum love. And he, who never loses his train of thought ever, lost his train of thought. I watched it happen.
You're like, score one for
I was just like,
score
I
one
was
for
like,
Laura.
yeah, it was like back to butterfly sitting on me. I was like, what's happening? Okay, let me just hold it. And then he just came and sat down next to me, and I put my head on his shoulder. And, then I don't even know where the conversation went, but I was like, wow.
But to me, that is the ultimate power move. And we can joke about, Jedi mind tricks and ninja moves, and they are. But when I think about it, is the ultimate agency. And let's face it, as somebody long time married, so often I've been guilty too of like what you're saying. I want to be right. I want to win. He's being a jerk. I want to prove him wrong. Like being in that low vibe state, it takes a lot of maturity and insightfulness and practice and intention to say, that's actually not what I want. That's what my ego wants. What I want is what you did with Sam, which is, and I've been able to practice that too, which is, I'm gonna summon myself to this higher vibe, where I love this man, or I love this woman, this person, and I'm just gonna send them, the gratitude and the love, and that they pick up on that energetically is like the best news ever.
They do. They match it. So back to your question, like that's showing up differently in a relationship. If you're wanting to manifest, I don't know, a new car, a new job, or an invitation or something like I was, everyone's different. It depends on the volume, right? But I would, like in this case, I think it was like, I wasn't doing it constantly, but, I meditate at least once a day, sometimes twice, or when I try to go out and ground myself regularly. I mean, that's all been part of my emotional well-being and survival. So when I was in those quieter moments, just spattered throughout the day, just for a few minutes, I would move myself into that energy. And when he was around and in the room with me, I would move myself and be imagining it, like almost like, supplanting it into him. So it only took a few days, 2 or 3 days.
I love that. And I'm just going to give a quick shout out to our audience. Guys, I want you to take a few minutes and just, while we're speaking, just write down put a little star next to it. And like next time you're in that low vibe state, what you're going to do differently, because it is such a powerful practice. And it's a practice. And it's amazing that you got it to work the first time. And I'm guessing it got a whole lot easier where you got into the next fight with Sam. Maybe you fought for 10 minutes and you're like, oh, I know what to do now.
Yeah.
Right.
And no, I still forget. I'm not a master at this. No, I totally do. And then I come back to it, but I still like, sometimes it'll be like, okay, is this what you would have one of your clients say to her husband right now? Like what you're saying to me, so I'm human too. And we all get stuck in those cycles. But it's really about a practice. When we're trying to manifest money or something that we feel a lot of scarcity around, we often have to move through that state of scarcity first before we can move in, because when we're in a space of, I want or need this, I need $10,000 to pay my rent, right? And you're in this state of need, and want is a low vibration, even though it's totally natural. So with that kind of stuff, I find it's much easier to manifest stuff that you don't have a huge attachment to, ironically. When you have a huge attachment, you have to move through that scarcity piece first, which often is a process of surrender and building faith and doing lots of things that allow you to just soften more in the scarcity department. And then it's much easier to manifest. But those people who really can manifest that way are doing so from a place of abundance, not scarcity. That's the ironic truth of it.
Well, I'll just add on to that, and then I want to jump into sex magic. When I have long stopped myself when, whether it's paying a tip, like, why am I paying $1 to the lady who's giving me a muffin across the, counter or whatever? I'll say, what, Andrea, are you in scarcity mode or are you in abundance mode? And I bring that back to myself a lot. And it's like, be in abundance mode. Like that has become a practice. And whether it's abundance with my time, abundance, I try to be a generous tipper. I mean, it's like there's so many places where abundance is you have the opportunity to practice abundance is what I have found, or choosing scarcity. And I used to choose scarcity a lot more, but the practice of just that framework, am I choosing scarcity? Am I choosing abundance? Nobody else knows, but I do. And that's what matters. It doesn't matter about what everybody else knows.
No, all that matters
right? It's really that internal choice of let me give more. I mean, and so many, I think that book, Think and Grow Rich, the famous book by Napoleon Hill, and so many, so
and
many
you're a
people
badass at making money. That's a good one. That is really practical.
Like spending with more comfort and, abundance in your heart, being more generous. It's like it really becomes part of that liberation and reframing.
And you're holding that energy of abundance. There's so many, I call them shift moves. There's so many shift moves to get out of those lower. That's a beautiful shift move that you just gave, right? There's so many shift moves that move us out of those lower frequency states into higher frequency states. And a lot of what I teach in Quantum Love is how to recognize where you are on the Quantum Love map, how to recognize also your, what I call your FE, your ego home frequency index, like where you tend to live on the Quantum Love map in terms of any number of things, finances, love, whatever. And how to move it up the scale in a way that is authentic and sustainable, and all kinds of shift. There's hundreds of shift moves that will move you to a higher vibrational place. And I even noticed this even more so, and it's, of course, nothing is ever an accident in anyone's life, but certainly I recognize that in mine. I'm so grateful that I wrote Quantum Love and understood this before my son died. Because what I found is that when we, and this is digressing, but it's relevant, when I can be in a higher frequency state, that is when I can connect with him. Because when we leave our bodies, we're vibrating at such a high frequency. These bodies are dense. And when we leave them, energy can't be created or destroyed. It remains. It just changes form. They are vibrating at such a high frequency. So once again, ironically, when we need them the most and we're in the bowels of sadness and despair, it's so hard for them to reach us. They can maybe give us a sign or something. But whenever I do a shift move, even if I wasn't even doing it intentionally to connect with him, then and I feel my vibration rise, and you start to notice what it feels like to be in these higher vibrational states. Then he can come in. It's amazing.
Oh my God.
So
that's so
there are all
powerful,
sorts of
Laura.
Applications.
Yeah. Just to, know your story and how, this is an important digression, right? Because, grief is part of the human experience. And when I think about that loss and your ability, given the intense work you've done to heal, the fact that you are able to be so high vibe and it's like you're getting rewarded for it, it just makes me want to scream and shout and hug you. And that, that you're able to feel that connection with him, which you obviously cherish so much, versus when you're in despair and feeling so disconnected. The antidote is to go high vibe. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really wild. And I discovered really it accidentally after I was like, every time I would move some big emotion, I would be in a place of despair or sadness, and I would let myself beat the crap out of a bunch of pillows or roll around on the floor crying, or, I teach people how to do this, in my grief healing community. And then it only takes about 10 or 15 minutes. And this is true for all of us, not just grief, any kind of emotion. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to honor it and let it pass through you. But what I started noticing is as soon as I would do that, I was like, oh, wait, this actually feels really good in my body. And then I would start hearing things from him or seeing things or whatever. So, yeah, it's really cool.
That is amazing frickin' tuning. And I love you said we are all transceivers. I don't think I've heard anybody other than me say that before. Maybe you. And we are. We are all, like, that is the great news. We are all transceivers. And I think once you get that you're the hardware and the software, hardware being your nervous system, software being your emotions, It's like game freaking on. And so speaking of game on, let's go to sex magic. Everyone's like, we're ready for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So you, right. And by the way, I showed this before, but I need to get this signed by you, but I have many copies. So I'm giving them away to the people I love most.
Good.
Because it is such a great book. So everybody listening, get this book, read it, listen to it. I mean, we can't cover it all. There's so much. And Quantum Love, I said, is also one of my favorite books. The fact that, Laura, you've got that Quantum Love course, just want to give a huge, gigantic shout out to both Sex Magic and Quantum Love as books and the Quantum Love course. Like it is just genuinely mind blowing. Okay. I did my public service because I love it so much. I'm not doing that for everybody,
you.
Laura.
Thank you.
Okay. So you write that sexual energy is the highest frequency energy our bodies can hold. And as such, it's a powerful, creative, and manifesting tool that we can access and harness with sex magic. And then you add on to say people's sex lives can reach the next level, experiencing mind-blowing orgasms, which we all want, along with soul-to-soul connections, which we all want. We want both. Healing and manifestation. Those are some big, bold claims. And by the way, since I've been practicing sex magic since we spoke last, I can attest to that it works. But I would love for you just to rewind a little bit and just define what is sex magic and how does this all connect to manifestation?
Yeah, well, at its core, sex magic is working with the energetics of sexual arousal and response and the sexual exchange you're having with another person. So from a response standpoint, you are learning to, instead of the sensations, tingling, warmth, vibration being localized to the genital or pelvic region, you're pulling it up through your body. You're learning to circle it between you. You're blowing it out the top of your head. You're having full body. You can have full body orgasm. So from an experiential standpoint, it heightens the arousal. It heightens the erotic intensity. And you can do this on your own or with a partner. In fact, I always encourage people to figure it out on your own first. But when you're with a partner, then it takes the sexual exchange. I not only, help you understand that when you're having sex with someone, it is an energetic exchange. You are taking each other's energy into you. You are affecting each other's energy in a really profound way. And when you are doing it in a conscious way, it elevates the sexual experience to a metaphysical one. It is, and even if your partner doesn't necessarily buy in or even know what you're doing, for you, you will notice their response is much more profound, whether they realize why or not. So that's really fun. But also your experience will be so much more elevated. That's on like the practical level. Then on the energetic level or the manifestation level, sexual arousal is the highest frequency your body can hold. So the higher and this is fleshed out just from a health perspective and all the stuff that Louise Hay did with Hay House and the different ways of dis-ease, the different ways that these conscious and unconscious emotional states we hold of fear, of grief, of shame start to take their toll on, create inflammation in our bodies. And inflammation, we all have cancer cells, for instance, and inflammation is what makes the cancer cells grow along with toxins and diet and everything else. But it's inflammation, right? So when you are in these higher frequency states, it is a beautiful healing state for the body in general. And it feels good, obviously. And from a manifestation standpoint, remember what we were talking about with the quantum love map, that state of the closest we can get to that state of bliss, the highest frequency there is, that physiologic, energetic state of bliss is heightened arousal and orgasm. So that's where the ancient practice of sex magic comes in, where you are creating an intention before you even begin a sexual exchange, and you're holding that intention in lots of different ways you can through the sexual act, but in particular toward and with orgasm, because you were then supercharging it out into the quantum field.
And we're going to come back to the exact, in just a few minutes, the exact process. If you'll remember last time we spoke, I committed to doing 30 sigils. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there yet.
How long are you working on each one?
I mean, let me just say I'm making really good progress. Well, and I will say this, just in the spirit of, full disclosure, and this being a topic that I hold so near and dear to my heart. You describe sex as sacred, and it is. And by using these techniques, my married sex and my solo sex have, really, really improved. And my manifestation has improved. So, I'm just saying there is absolute truth in advertising. And and part of it is in the act of it, but it's really opening up energetically, staying at that higher vibe. It really 1 + 1 = 11. And like I said, because I am also a student of quantum love, really adopting these principles. So I'm just saying, everybody listening and watching, this isn't just a theoretical discussion. I am here to say it works.
Andrea's our guinea pig.
I know. I love it. It's such a gift to be able to talk to you again and to be able to say to folks, this works, guys, take it seriously. And the fact that you've got additional coursework and so forth that people can get to know you and go deeper is such a gift. Okay. So hang on. I want to go back. So as far as techniques for, can we start with 1 or 2 things? So if I'm just, hearing about sex magic for the first time, I've got a boyfriend, I've got a girlfriend, or I'm solo, all apply. What would be the one, and I'm like, all right, I'm done, I'm going. What would be the 1 or 2 things just for the folks who are just getting started to do differently, say tonight?
Sexually, to do differently. Yeah, I would say first and foremost to get really, really present in your body, to get embodied. Because most of us, when we're having sex, we're thinking about the windows being closed or how we're going to get our kids to soccer practice, or we're going somewhere else in our minds. So really coming into your body first. Take some deep breaths. Imagine a light coming in the top of your head as you breathe in, and as you breathe out, it shoots out your tailbone, creating roots into the earth, grounding you here. Notice your, what things you smell, feel, taste, hear, really get present in your body. And as much as you can, treat as the sexual exchange as you would a meditation. When you meditate, your mind wanders and you notice and you just come back, right? So it's the same thing sexually. Your mind may wander, am I doing it right? Do they like it? Is this taking too long? Other things that have nothing to do with sex. Just keep bringing yourself back in. That's one of the simplest tools to get started. And then just notice, even if you can do this with self-stimulation first, when you're self-stimulating or when you're being stimulated by your partner, notice in your body where you are feeling the sensation. It will likely be right around your genitals or maybe in your lower pelvic region. And then as you breathe in and maybe even tighten the Kegels, those muscles you use to stop the flow of urine, imagine pulling that energy up just to your belly button and then dropping it back down as you loosen your Kegels, and then pulling it back up and dropping it back down. Just play with that. And then over time, you can pull it all the way up and you can pull it out the top of your head and you can circle it around between you and your partners. There's these beautiful ancient Kundalini, Taoist, Tantric, Kama Sutra, all kinds of techniques that I've kind of modernized into practical exercises that you can try. But if you just start playing with the arousal, being present in your body, and maybe even imagining if, let's say, from the feminine and masculine standpoint, right? And has nothing to do with gender. You can be a man who's more in his feminine and a woman who's more in her masculine. But let's just, for the sake of the example, talk about a traditional heterosexual relationship where she's more in her feminine and he's more in his masculine. And I get into all that and what that means in sex magic. But if you're the feminine, imagine while you're having sex with a partner, sending all your love. You can even pull it in through your top of your head, flow down to your genitals, and imagine sending all your love, connection, lust, emotional well-being, whatever emotion you want to send, loving, positive emotion, send that from your genitals into theirs, because the masculine receives energy through the genitals and shares it through the heart, and the feminine receives it through the heart and shares it through the genitals. So if you're the feminine, send it into his genitals, pull it, and imagine it going up, and then pull it out of his heart into yours, and then let it drop back down to your genitals and send it in. Now, if your partner knows about this and wants to practice it with you, you're both consciously doing it. He's pulling it in from your genitals and sharing it through his heart. You're pulling it in from his heart and sharing it through your genitals. So you're creating a circle of energy, which starts to kind of take on a life of its own as you put your attention on it. And then the arousing sensations start to circle, and it's very erotic and satisfying and mind-blowing.
Yeah, for sure. I love that, and it works. And I just wanted to add one more thing that I learned. I mean, I learned a ton more from your book, but the breath work that I do, and it slows me down in a really good way. It's just the right, just a really slowing down breaths. Of the breath. And it's to your point about, you call it erotic embodiment. And at times, like, I want to go faster, and it's like, yes,
yeah. Keep it slow.
And that build up and that intentionality, it way punches above its weight.
Yeah. And so as you're breathing in, pull light in slowly. And as you're breathing out, you're sending it into them, or as you breathe in, your Kegels are tightening and you're pulling that sensation up. And as you breathe out, so you're doing consistent, slow breaths. And that's a beautiful, a lot of Tantra is teaching you how to use that breath.
Yeah, it was surprising how effective it was. I was like, oh, snap. Thanks, Dr. Laura. Okay, good. Now getting to the next question, you talk about sex magic requires you to stand in your sexual power, and just how sexually powerful you are and how immensely sexually capable you are. I think a lot of women struggle with this. Back to they're not erotically embodied because like you say, they're thinking about soccer practice. They're thinking, I've got, I'm love handles. I don't look as good as I'd like. They're thinking about almost everything but the act. How can women stand more in their sexual power? Because that feels like it also over-indexes for achieving sex magic.
Yeah, I think it really is in claiming it. And we all know people who maybe don't fit the ideal of perfect beauty and the standard, right? And they are magnetic. They walk into a room and every person wants to talk with them or do them or whatever, and they always have a partner and they're always having the best time. It's really about their confidence. And this is one of those areas where I really encourage women in particular to do two things, right? To authentically embody. So to really, it's almost like that distractor during meditation. You start worrying about your cellulite, go back to the breath, breathe the light in, let it move through your body, right? But it's also just from the practical standpoint, if you are especially, if you're with a woman, she totally understands, and is not caring about or looking at your cellulite because she's got it too. If you're with a man, I guarantee you, he is not noticing it either. I have spoken to thousands of men about this. They are not noticing it either unless you're incessantly pointing it out to them. They don't notice. If you want to see what your male partner sees when he looks at you naked, go stand naked in front of the mirror. And instead of your eyes going right to your problem areas and analyzing it, just kind of blur your vision out to the whole silhouette, right? And the tits and ass. Like that is what they are seeing. They are paying attention. They are so happy to be there. They are not paying attention to your cellulite and love handles and softness or firmness. They are just there in the presence with you. It's us that tends to overthink it.
Well, and I just want to add the playfulness back onto that because playfulness is hot, right? When I think in the bedroom, because if you're over there stressing, and it's back to the, quantum love map, if you're over there stressing and serious about how bad you look or are you doing it right, you're out of the moment, versus the amazingly agency creating opposite is, if you're playful, that's high vibe.
Yes. Playfulness is high vibe. And by playful, we don't mean joking about your cellulite. We mean,
right, good idea. Yeah, but like being present, being joyful.
Yeah, rolling over on top of him,
teasing.
Just being, teasing, just being a little playful and fully present and engaged. That is what the biggest turn on I find for men.
Totally. Okay, so we're going to move on as a good segue to pleasure as a sacred spiritual practice. And, I think I touched on this, but at the heart of sex magic and even quantum love is something so simple and revolutionary, the idea that pleasure is sacred. And, oh my gosh, there's so much taint and shame and BS that you have really, you've just done such a beautiful job in reframing it. In fact, I love how you talk about sex as a sacred energy exchange.
Yeah, SEX, sacred energy exchange.
So how can we reclaim pleasure without guilt or overthinking?
Yeah, it's such a big one. And I honestly think on a certain level, hundreds of years or thousands of years ago, when religion, anti-sexual religion began, it was a way to keep control. Because remember, our master manifesting power comes from those higher frequency states, and sex is an extremely high frequency state. And so I think this was part of the system's way of keeping us in shame and guilt and keeping us under control. They do that.
I was going to say, we being women, right? Because sexually very strong women and very strong sexual and feminine energy are effing powerful.
Yeah, we were called witches. We were burned at the stake, because we were very threatening. And maybe still are to the wrong people, but who cares about them? But so it's really about recognizing that and wanting and being willing to and realizing the ways that you've been bamboozled and wanting and willing to claim that back. And then also working with the inhibition. I'm a huge fan, and I find it extremely powerful and effective to externalize. I call it externalizing your inhibitions, right? So simple exercise. Write down all your stories about what good girls or bad girls or nice women or bad women do or don't do sexually. They don't initiate sex. They don't receive oral sex. They don't give oral sex. They don't have anal sex, whatever. It could be behaviors. It could be activities. It could be style, anything, all the stories, the inhibitory stories you have. And then only hot people can enjoy sex, whatever it is. And that's in the first column. In the second column, I want you to write down and really think about, where did I get that story? Like maybe it was from media, but for most of us, it's earlier in life when Sister Mary Margaret told us we were going to hell if we touched ourselves. Yeah. Or when we overheard our mother and neighbor gossiping about another neighbor who had had sex with more than one person in 1 week, or, whatever it is, there are these, or when our hand was slapped away, when we were touching ourselves to go to sleep, or whatever, when we were little. So where do you remember? And it doesn't have to be the first memory, but any memories you have of where you got those stories. That's in the second column. And then in the third column is, do you want to keep or release it? Because some of them you may want to keep. That's okay. But a lot of them you're going to want to release. And now you've externalized it. So the next time you have that specific inhibition, you remember, oh yeah, that's not me. That was Sister Mary Margaret. I am not subscribing to that anymore. And you let it go, right? It's now been externalized rather than a voice in your head that's keeping you inhibited. It works really well.
I love that. Guys, you heard it from the source. This is in your manifestation handbook, which I want to just remind you, if you haven't gotten your manifestation handbook, you can get it real quick, powermanifestation.com. And you should be taking a ton of notes. You're going to want them for, maximum sex magic and quantum love. But I wanted to add to that from a personal perspective, going even back to this business of abundance versus scarcity, as I've done more and more my own work, going from a deep personal place of unworthiness and scarcity to a place of profound worthiness and profound abundance, my feeling of I deserve pleasure and how important it is to me, game changed. And I say that with, putting myself out there because I think there are a lot of women like me that don't necessarily prioritize sex. It's a little more obligatory. Or there's all these, like you described, Laura, like stories and so forth about it. And as a working mom that's been an overachiever was like, I don't need to do that unless my husband wants it. Right. And for me to have completely transformed my relationship with my own pleasure it's like I look different and I show up differently. And so in part, it's just back to why I'm so enthusiastic about your work, because to me, it really gets to the heart of worthiness. And it's like, I am prioritizing pleasure more. Whereas before I'd be like, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got time for that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not just with sex. I noticed the other day I'm finishing another book right now on a totally different topic.
Oh my God.
It's about grief, but I was writing it. Too. I was writing, I have a deadline and I wanted to finish this chapter, but I was starving and I would not let myself stop writing. And suddenly I was like, what the F am I doing? My hand is shaking. I am starving. No one is telling me like I can go eat and actually write better after that. Like I had to talk myself into it. So we're conditioned to be so rigorous with ourselves this way and so restrictive of ourselves.
Yeah.
And hard on ourselves. And pleasure and giving yourself pleasure is such a life force builder. Plus, sex just physiologically is good for your heart. It's good for your blood flow. It's good for your immune system. It's good for headaches. It's good for your mood. It's good for your skin. There's so many benefits to it. And so when you cultivate that and prioritize it, even if it's by yourself, you are going to change for the better. And you add the manifesting juice behind it and it gets even better.
Okay, we are coming to that and just perfect segue, except I'm just going to add one more quick thing. I mean, when I just think about this whole business of allowing ourselves to have that pleasure, back to that embodiment, that we show up differently for our partners, right? Then we can enjoy it. Then it's not performative, right? And I talk about these things in a way that I know so many women relate to. It's like, do I look good? Am I performing well? And it's like, if you can just, to me, really surrender to the pleasure, to want the pleasure, that's hot. That's hot.
Very hot.
And it feels good. And our partners, that's what they want. They want us to be in the moment with them. Or in solo sex too. It feels good, right? I'm on my own. Look at me. I'm on my own. I'm feeling so good. But so it's relevant to me. I just really emphasize all this because it is game changed for me as a 54-year-old woman. I wish I would have done this a long time ago. So for all you younger ladies, and if you're older than me, it's not too late. We are going into how to manifest with sex magic, with or without a partner. I mean, let's just get into it. Do you want to walk us through your divine practice of creating from the telos to the sigil? I feel like this is where sex magic can be so fun.
Yeah. So your telos is really your heart's desire. And you can, like Andrea, make up 30 of them, right? You can make up as many as you want, or you could just have one that you work with. But you want to state your telos, your deepest desire, in the sacred I am format, in the positive, right? So it's not, I am not broke. It is, I am wealthy and abundant, right? Or here is an example, and we'll get into the sigil, which is what's in that circle next to it. But I am deeply desirable, right? So this was, one that someone made who really wanted to feel desired by their partner. So once you have your statement, which should be an I am statement, then you want to start cutting it down to consonants. So you first cut out all of the... And by the way,
can I just interject real quick? I mean, this one is I am deeply desirable. That's clearly in a sexual sense, but it works in your career. It works in your health.
Anywhere.
Like it works for anything you want to manifest, guys.
Yes. I am a best-selling author. I am a mother to a healthy baby. I am, the owner of a brand new, beautiful house, right? Or I am hired for this freelancing job you want to get, or whatever it is. So once you have that, you cross out all of the vowels. And then you can even cross out, I usually like to have like 6 to 7 letters max. So if you need to cross out the repeating consonants. And then once you have like 6 to 7 letters, it could be 8. You want to put them all together in some sort of image or picture. I mean, I've had people make sigils that have nothing to do with the words. You could just draw a picture or a symbol of that which you want to create. It's just something that holds the energy of your I am statement that when you look at it elicits that, right? So once you have the letters, then you form them, and you can see these are sample sigils, that were made. My career is fulfilling and lucrative. I am pregnant. I am about to meet the love of my life. And then you can see how they took the consonants and made them into pictures. Or you could just make a picture, doesn't matter. And then you put a circle around it because that kind of creates a container. And then you move yourself into the energetic frequency of he, she, they who already has that. So you're imagining a scenario of that thing you want, holding the baby, celebrating your best-selling book, whatever it is, in first person present, as if it's happening right here, right now, because your body in that state doesn't know the difference between reality and rehearsal. So you're moving yourself into that energetic frequency. Hold that, marinate in that, hold the sigil. Imagine fusing and infusing that image with that intention and that feeling. And then hold on to that image. And when you go to have sex, especially, you can keep it next to you, you can keep it under your pillow, you can keep it on the nightstand, wherever you are. And then as you're getting through into those higher states of arousal and toward orgasm, some people remember and hold it and look at it while it's happening. Some couples do this together. You don't have to. For some, they've imprinted that image in their mind. So they're holding the image in their mind. Some people completely forget when they're in the throes of the intense arousal and orgasm. And so then you go right to it in the aftermath while you're still in that high frequency afterglow. Right.
So let me just rewind. So you have your telos, which is your intention. And then you rightfully say, you reduce it down to just the 6 or 7 key letters. You make a pictorial. I mean, I've done all sorts of cool things, and drawing a picture, it can be the letters.
I want to see them. You'll have to send me pictures.
I burn them all. I've been meaning to send you videos of me burning them. Yes. Yeah. But I will. I'm going to send you a secret. I'll send you the next one. They're really good. They're so artistic. And so then, after you make it, are you saying then? And you see, I'm a best-selling author, and then you feel that feeling. Oh my God, it'll feel amazing. I feel amazing as a best-selling author. And then you park it under the pillow, on the bedside table, wherever you park it. And then you get into the sexual act, either by yourself, this works solo sex, or with your partner. And then you get into a state of arousal. And ideally, you're remembering it either as you're climaxing, you're seeing that visual, or if you forgot about it because you're just really in the moment, really embodied, then in the afterglow, after the climax, then you're remembering that beautiful sigil that you made.
Yes.
So those are the steps. Okay.
And then the last one, which is often the hardest, is to let it go, right? So this is where when we get back to the scarcity thing, anytime we're manifesting, we have to lose our attachment to it. So that's why it's very powerful to rip it up, burn it, throw it away, whatever. You can always make another one of exactly the same or a different pictorial representation of the same thing. But that one is finished.
Well, I love burning mine. I've got right outside of my bedroom. I have a balcony, and I have this year I didn't put a plant in the pot.
Perfect.
So I've got this empty pot, so it's safe to burn it. And it's a really deep pot, and it's like it's this ritual.
Yeah,
it's like I turn it. I have the little. I actually have actual matches, and I'm like. And so it is. And it really, it actually feels kind of cathartic and kind of badass.
Yes.
Like, obviously, people have to be careful with fire. But that, like, there's something about lighting it on fire that's like, yeah. I got, like, I can let it go because
it's a good release.
Yeah. I do that rather than being attached.
On full moons, I like to do that. I write down all the things I want to release and then burn it under the full moon. So you can do that too in your little pot.
Yes, that'll be next. I mean, honestly, with the buck moon being as powerful as it is, this season, dang, I should have talked to you a week ago. But okay, and so with this process, you said it just a minute ago. It's like what would you recommend? Using the example of best-selling author, if I wanted to be a best-selling author, would you recommend doing that one again and again, or does that start getting you into scarcity?
No, it just depends on the energy you're coming at it with, right? If you're like, oh shit, I got to do this, so my book is a bestseller. I'm scared it's not going to be a bestseller, right? I got to do it compulsively, and I don't really want to do it. But what if I don't do it and my book isn't a bestseller, right? That's very different than like, yeah, I'm so excited for my book. I think I want to supercharge again. I'm going to do it again.
I feel that difference.
Do I want to do it or not? Yeah, I want to do it again. Right? So it's just from a place of abundance that you're doing it repeatedly.
Well, and just back to what you were saying a few minutes ago, I am the owner of this beautiful new house. I am the mom of a really wonderful, healthy kid. I'm the best friend to these amazing women. I mean, the I ams, when I think about my own life, super type A, achievement junkie. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things. And the beauty of it is, it's like, great. All of these things, none of them are mutually exclusive.
No. None of them are mutually exclusive. And you can work on one and then another multiple times and then another once and then come back to the first one. There's no wrong, order or amount to do.
Well, it feels so empowering. I mean, back to this being part of, and for me, it's not every single time I'm having sex, I do this thing, but it feels like this like little gift that I'm giving to myself, like so intentional. It's like, ooh, I want, I am in, these other things that are so yummy to me. And to connect that with this really sacred, pleasurable act, it's like, it feels like it punches above its weight, because not only am I giving myself and prioritizing pleasure, but this other thing that's important to me, I'm prioritizing that too. And to your point, Laura, like feeling it as though I already have it. I mean, it's just back to the very beginning of our conversation. It's back to that so high vibe, to embody those states of joy and playfulness and worthiness and abundance and joy and gratitude. It's like, and it is a practice. Like it just, in a good way, it's like, it's there. Grab it.
And
grab
it's
it, gals.
fun. Grab it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's actually jump into quantum love. I know we could talk for a very long time, and we touched on a lot of it, but I'd love just to maybe rewind a little bit about, what is quantum love in real life terms? How can somebody feel it when they're in it, or how do they harness it more? Can we just maybe start a little bit foundationally?
Yeah, quantum love is this process I created of harnessing your body's energetic frequency in service to what you want to manifest in love, but in all things. It could be to manifest anything. Quantum love was specifically about your love relationships, because that's my jam, but it applies to everything you want to manifest. So that's what it is. Now, what was the other question you had?
Well, I mean, how can somebody feel like it and back to, okay, I am attracting, my husband's really being a pain in the ass.
Yes.
Like, uh-oh.
Okay. So you want, let's say you want your partner to show up differently, right? There's two levels to this. There's the logistical 3D level, which I've spent a poop ton of my career working within and teaching people around. That's like, so if you want your partner to be more romantic, let's say, that's the logistical stuff would be, am I creating space for romance? Am I showing up as someone who he wants to be romantic with? Am I initiating any romance? Am I making intimacy, sexual intimacy available? Because that's typically the male's path, unless he's really in his feminine, that's the male path to emotional intimacy, is physical intimacy. That's how they get there, ironically. So am I doing those things logistically, right? That's this logistical side. On the quantum love, and I don't want to ignore that because that's important. But often you're doing all those things, you're trying to do all those things, and he's still not, right? Have I given him a list? Because most guys actually need specific instructions on what feels romantic to me, right? He may think it's romantic to mow the lawn on Saturday so that I don't have to do it. I don't think that's romantic. I think he should be doing that anyway. What's romantic to me is if he makes a spontaneous dinner date and surprises me with it, right? So having that conversation in the positive, not in the critical. In the quantum level, you are moving your body into the energetic frequency of she who is flooded with all of the romance she wants. So the way that you do that, once again, is to move yourself, and I teach you the specifics a lot more in depth in quantum love, but you close your eyes, you ground, you get into your transceiver, into your body. So pull that light in as you breathe in, fill your body with light as you hold the breath for a beat. Shoot it out your tailbone, rooting you into the earth, deep, roots going deep into the earth. Take 5 or 6 breaths like that. This whole process maybe takes 5 minutes. Do it several times a day. It actually feels really good. And then from that grounded place, imagine a scenario, real or made up, where you felt perfect romance, and be there as if it's happening right here, right now, in first person. So you aren't watching yourself in that romantic scene. You can look down and see your feet and your hands. You're in that scene as if it's happening right here, right now, in first person. And let yourself be there, even just for a few moments. Notice what you feel in your body, how that feels. You are now moving yourself into the energetic frequency. Now, if you want to get even more specific, you can say, even before you start this process, all right, I want more romance. If I had more romance in my life, how would I feel? Right? Because everything starts with a feeling. I would feel more connected. I would feel more cherished. I would feel more loved. I would feel more loving, whatever that is. Get clear on, and I even have a quiz on my website. If you go to drlauraberman.com at the top, it's what do you really want in love? It will tell you the feeling states you're actually looking for in your love relationship. And then when you imagine it, right, you can imagine that romantic scenario, or you can imagine a scenario where you felt the feeling you would feel if romance was there. So let's say it's cherished. Okay, then you would be in first person present in a scene where you felt unbelievably cherished. And by the way, it doesn't even have to be by your current partner. It doesn't even have to be by a last partner. It could be by a faceless partner. It could be by your mother. It could be by your friend, right? But you're moving your body into the energetic frequency of she who is cherished, right? Or she who's experiencing romance. You hold that, you ground that energy, you get really used to how that feels like in your body. And then you start to hold that frequency when you're around your partner. So before you go into the room with him, take 2 minutes and imagine that scenario and walk into the room and hold that state when you're around him. You can still be doing the dishes or vacuuming the floor or watching a movie, whatever. You may also want to think about those 3D logistical things you could do to cultivate romance, but you don't even have to. Just hold that energy of she who's romanced around him. You will naturally act differently. Your energy will be very different, and he's going to respond differently to you, and you will start to see it. And then maybe even if you initiate some romance, you will see much more receptivity. Or if you try to talk about it, you will, from that energetic state, anytime I'm going to have a difficult conversation with my husband or one that may get prickly, I move myself into the energetic frequency of exactly how I want to feel in this conversation and how I want to go. I sometimes even envision the outcome I want, and then I go and have the conversation.
You know, Laura, you can't be a victim in that. You know what I mean? I mean, that is the freaking best news ever, right? I mean, you are giving people so much agency. And I think, ladies, I mean, we've all been there where it's like, I just can't find a good guy. There are no good guys. All the guys suck, right? I just want to, I mean, love you. I want to say practice this, right?
Yes.
Because whether, you know, now we've been speaking a little bit more about people who are partnered up. And by the way, maybe it's time for an upgrade, right? Maybe in this, you know, you're showing up as she who is cherished, right? As promised, you know, worthy and wanted. Maybe you end up outgrowing the partner, or if you're single and looking to be, you know, she who is worthy and wanted and cherished, that is what is going to attract the right person, not the, you know, the asshole guy that you always tend to attract. Like, it starts within. Okay, let me ask you this. There's so much on TikTok and Instagram about manifesting your SP, your specific person. Can you do that with Quantum Love? And do you even recommend it?
You can do that. You can absolutely manifest your partner, but I take issue with that. I mean, it's once again a TikTok thing, right? They get these little shticks going and everybody jumps on. But the truth is, every relationship is a soulmate. There unequivocally is not just one person for every partner. Then you can have many soulmates in your life. I think there are these ideas of twin flames, which are actually really toxic relationships that your soul signed up for to try to, work on really painful issues or, karmic alliances or whatever. But I don't even think you need to stay or should stay in those abusive situations. Lots of people do, saying, oh, it's my twin flame. No, I mean, so to manifest your person, it doesn't have to be your specific person. It is your specific person, just like every relationship is, but there isn't just one out there for you.
Okay. I take your point. Somebody may be like, I was with the guy. I mean, there's something I watched this morning or yesterday was like, they're really close. Next thing you know, it's like they've been blocked. There's all the heartache and drama. So I feel like there are people that like, they're speaking about the specific person. They want the guy that dumped them.
Yes.
All right. Or the guy that,
that's
the
a
guy
twin flame thing.
Down the hall or whatever. But your point, I think, is a good one, which is, and
get really clear.
Yeah.
What do you want to feel in love? Right. Instead of thinking about the qualities you want him to have, instead of thinking about the qualities you want that person to have, maybe 3 to 5, none of them physical or, like funny, loyal, things like that. And then take the quiz that I was mentioning, get clear on how you really want to feel in love, and then cultivate that feeling every single day, several times a day. Look for opportunities to be in that feeling that have nothing to do with love or relationships. It could be social or whatever, work related, whatever, just anything that makes you feel those feelings. Several things are going to happen. You're going to start attracting in all kinds of experiences and people, not even necessarily romantic relationships, although those will come too, that match that energy you're spending time in. It's going to feel good to you to be in that energy. And you are also going to attract in a partner that is aligned with that energy. And then you just stay really, really open. You don't get too rigid about what the package is supposed to look like. And you stay curious, you stay open, and now that you've been marinating in that feeling you want to feel, like, oh, do I have a little bit of that feeling when I'm sitting next to that person? Not that you're going to have the full feeling of being cherished next to someone you just met and have gone on a few dates with, but there'll be an inkling of it. Your body will recognize it. The more attuned you are to your transceiver instrument, the easier it is.
Well, and I would just add to that, and not being attached to an immediate outcome, right? It's so easy to go, oh my God, I've been feeling cherished for 10 minutes. why hasn't it happened yet?
This is
right?
it.
You have to,
Yeah.
you have to kind of try, let go, surrender, and trust the process. Okay, last super quick one. Something that I love that you talk about is your back to the ninja moves. Your sneaky ninja move when you're hugging Sam, your hot hubby, and your chest to chest. So, to me, whether it's with a child, with a partner, I mean, even your best friend. Like, I'm a big hugger. So what's the pro move? And to me, it's a continuation between quantum love, sex magic, into being as high vibe as you can be. When you're hugging somebody, what's the pro move?
Pull love light in through the top of your head or from the back of your heart, your spiritual heart. Fill your heart. Imagine it swirling into a ball of love light, and then send that from your heart into your partners. And if you're in a love relationship, I really, especially if you tend toward codependency, which I do, my little mantra that I just say in my head, he didn't realize until recently, and I've been doing this for 10 years or more with him, that I just never thought to share it. I didn't realize I hadn't. I say to myself, I choose you today. Because being in choice in your relationship for all of us, but especially for me, is the only way to get your needs met. So I choose you. I am choosing to be here. I'm choosing to be with you. I'm choosing to send love from my heart into yours. And then it grounds the two of you into that loving vibration before you start your day. It just takes like 20, it's a 30-second hug. It's a bit of time, but it's a beautiful thing for your kids to see. It's a beautiful practice to build into your daily life. And it's a beautiful practice to do with anyone.
Yeah, it's so intentional. It's so empowering. It's so beautiful. This is such a great note to end on. Laura, you're the best. Mwah. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have had yet another conversation. I always get so fired up talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
Oh my gosh, I hope you guys love that as much as I loved having that conversation, and feel so energized and inspired to reclaim your power and savor it and become even more of a manifestation goddess. And honestly, if you're like, God, I love that so much, there is an opportunity for you to own it as a VIP of the Power of Manifestation. We are sending you messages about how you can become a VIP during the event. After the event, the price is going to go up. So if you're loving this as much as I loved having that conversation, go to powerofmanifestation.com, become a VIP. You get so much more in addition to this amazing episode. And of course, as always, the Power of Manifestation handbook is so helpful in internalizing these lessons and remembering everything, and really being such a powerful companion to the entire event. And with that, I hope you are just so supercharged and ready to enjoy the next session with us. Thanks so much for tuning in.